Sometimes the real problem isn't that someone is drifting away. It's that you've slowly started losing yourself while trying to hold on to them. You overthink, overgive, and adjust your entire life around one person. And without realizing it, your identity, confidence, and peace begin to fade. This topic is about that powerful realization. Before worrying about losing someone else, you need to check if you're losing your own self-worth, boundaries, and purpose. When your happiness becomes dependent on one person, it creates imbalance, and that imbalance pushes you further away from who you truly are. In this guide, we'll focus on three important things you need to fix within yourself. Not to win someone back, but to rebuild your confidence, regain emotional control, and become whole again. Because the moment you find yourself again, everything else starts to fall into place. One of the biggest reasons people lose themselves in a relationship is over-sacrificing. It often starts innocently. You care, you want the other person to be happy, so you give more of your time, energy, and attention. But slowly, this giving becomes one-sided. You begin to ignore your own needs, compromise your values, and adjust your life just to keep the connection alive. Over-sacrificing creates an emotional imbalance. When you are always the one giving, you unknowingly lower your own value in the relationship. The other person may start taking your efforts for granted because they become used to your constant availability and support. What you thought would bring you closer can actually push you into a position where your efforts are no longer appreciated. Another problem is that over-sacrificing disconnects you from yourself. You stop doing things that once made you happy. Your focus shifts completely toward the other person, their mood, their needs, their attention. This leads to emotional exhaustion because you are constantly pouring energy out without refilling yourself. It's important to understand that healthy relationships are built on balance, not sacrifice. Caring for someone should not mean losing your own identity or peace. When you start valuing your own time, emotions, and boundaries, you create a healthier dynamic. Stopping over-sacrificing doesn't mean you become selfish or distant. It means you become aware of your limits. You learn to give without losing yourself. You start saying no when needed, and you stop doing things just to gain approval. When you stop over-sacrificing, you regain control over your life. You rebuild your self-respect and create space for a more balanced and healthy connection, where you are valued not for how much you give, but for who you truly are. Rebuilding your self-identity is essential when you feel like you've lost yourself in a relationship. Over time, when your focus becomes completely centered on one person, you slowly disconnect from who you truly are. Your goals, interests, routines, and even your personality may start revolving around them. This is where the loss of identity begins. Self-identity means knowing who you are beyond any relationship. It includes your values, passions, ambitions, and the things that make you feel alive and fulfilled. When you rebuild your identity, you are essentially reconnecting with the version of yourself that existed before emotional dependence took over. The first step is self-reflection. Ask yourself, what did I enjoy before this? What goals did I have? What made me feel confident and happy? These questions help you rediscover parts of yourself that may have been ignored or forgotten. Next, start taking action. Re-engage in activities that bring you joy, whether it's learning a new skill, focusing on your career, improving your health, or spending time with people who support you. These actions slowly rebuild your sense of individuality and purpose. Another important aspect is independence in decision-making. Instead of constantly thinking about how your actions will affect the other person, you begin making choices based on your own growth and well-being. This strengthens your confidence and self-trust. Rebuilding your self-identity also changes how others see you. When you have your own direction and purpose, you appear more grounded and self-assured. People naturally respect and value individuals who have a strong sense of self. Rebuilding your self-identity is about finding yourself again. It shifts your focus from who I am with them to who I am on my own. And once you reconnect with yourself, you no longer feel lost. You feel complete, confident, and in control of your own life. Setting strong emotional boundaries is essential if you want to stop losing yourself in a relationship. Boundaries are the limits you create to protect your self-respect, time, and emotional well-being. Without them, it becomes easy for others to take advantage of your kindness, ignore your feelings, or treat you in ways that slowly damage your confidence. When you lack boundaries, you often say, yes, even when you're uncomfortable, tolerate behavior that hurts you, and prioritize the other person's needs over your own. This leads to frustration, emotional exhaustion, and a loss of self-respect. Over time, you may start feeling unappreciated or taken for granted. Setting boundaries does not mean pushing people away or becoming rude. It means clearly understanding what you will and will not accept. For example, you may decide not to tolerate disrespect, inconsistent behavior, or being ignored for long periods. When these situations arise, you calmly express your feelings or choose not to engage. Another important part of boundaries is consistency. It's not enough to set limits once. You need to maintain them through your actions. If you say something bothers you but continue to accept it repeatedly, the other person will not take your boundaries seriously. Strong emotional boundaries also help you regain control over your feelings. Instead of reacting to everything the other person does, you learn to respond with awareness and self-respect. You stop giving unlimited access to your emotions and start protecting your inner peace. Boundaries also increase your value in the eyes of others. People tend to respect those who respect themselves. When you set clear limits, it shows confidence and emotional strength. Setting strong emotional boundaries is about protecting yourself without losing your kindness. It helps you build healthier relationships where respect, balance, and emotional stability are present, and where you no longer lose yourself trying to keep someone else. Shifting your focus from them to yourself is a powerful step in regaining control over your emotions and identity. When you become too attached to someone, your thoughts start revolving around them. Their actions, their replies, their mood, and their attention. This constant focus drains your energy and keeps you stuck in overthinking and emotional dependence. The problem is not caring about someone. The problem is making them the center of your life. When your happiness depends on what they do or how they treat you, you lose control over your own emotional state. This creates imbalance and makes you feel restless, anxious, or even insecure. Shifting your focus means bringing your attention back to your own life. Instead of asking, "What are they doing?" you start asking, "What am I doing for myself?" This small change in mindset can create a big difference. You begin to invest time in your goals, health, skills, and personal growth. Practically, this could mean building a daily routine, working on your career, exercising, learning something new, or spending time with people who uplift you. When your life becomes active and meaningful, your mind naturally stops obsessing over one person. This shift also helps you regain emotional balance. You are no longer waiting for messages or depending on someone's attention to feel good. Your mood becomes more stable because it is now controlled by your own actions and mindset. Another important benefit is that it restores your sense of control. You stop feeling powerless and start realizing that your life does not revolve around one person. This builds confidence and inner strength. Shifting focus from them to yourself is about reclaiming your time, energy, and identity. It allows you to grow as an individual and break free from emotional dependence, helping you become more stable, confident, and self-sufficient. Regaining control over your emotions is the final and most important step in stopping yourself from getting lost in a relationship. When you don't have emotional control, your mood becomes dependent on the other person's behavior. One message can make your day, and one delay can ruin it. This constant emotional fluctuation creates anxiety, overthinking, and inner instability. Emotional control means that you feel your emotions, but you are not controlled by them. You don't react instantly to everything the other person does. Instead, you pause, observe, and respond with awareness. This small gap between feeling and reaction gives you power over your emotional state. The first step is awareness. Start noticing your emotional triggers. What actions or behaviors from the other person affect you the most? Once you identify these triggers, you can begin to manage your reactions instead of being overwhelmed by them. Next is self-regulation. Instead of immediately texting back, overthinking, or reacting emotionally, you give yourself time. You breathe, distract your mind, or focus on something productive. This helps you break the habit of impulsive emotional responses. Another key part is emotional independence. You remind yourself that your happiness should not depend on one person. You create your own sources of peace through personal growth, routine, and self-care. Over time, your emotional state becomes more stable and less influenced by external factors. Regaining control also means accepting uncertainty. You stop trying to control the other person's behavior and focus only on what you can control: your thoughts, your actions, and your reactions. In short, emotional control brings inner stability. It allows you to stay calm, think clearly, and protect your peace. When you are no longer controlled by emotions, you stop losing yourself, and instead you become stronger, more balanced, and in charge of your own life.